today, right here, right now. This is the moment that you will finally say,
I'm growing my accounting practice, and we're going to discover exactly how right here, right now,
on the Grow My Accounting Practice podcast.
All right, Ron, how you feeling?
Good, man. Good to be back. How about yourself?
I'm good. I'm happy you're on this microphone. It actually does sound much better, much clearer.
It does. Okay. I'm going to try to keep my voice and my face centered. So if you guys are seeing me, you get to see my beautiful mic stand now.
That's wonderful. And we have a great guest coming in today. His name is Mike Milan, and we're going to talk about meaningful client conversations. Now, let me tell you about Mike Milan. Mike Milan's also known as Cash Flow Mike. He is a cash flow expert with over 20 years of experience helping businesses unlock hidden cash and achieve financial clarity. As the founder of Clear Path to Cash, he simplifies financial management into actionable steps, empowering business owners to maximize profitability and sustain cash flow. And guess what? He's got a brand new book. I want to talk about that too, called Don't Tell Me What to Do. No further ado, Mike, welcome to our show.
Oh my.
Hey, all right. All right. Somewhere I'm there. There I am. Oh my God, there I am. Hey, look. I got
For our
studio
podcast
direction.
listeners, your camera just went flying up.
You got one like me, right?
It follows you along.
Yeah.
So okay, Mike, I first want to talk about your brand new book. How did you come to discovering this? And is T.E.L.L. an acronym?
It is, right? Just like my first book was Don't Be a Dumb Business Owner, and dumb means don't understand my business. T.E.L.L. means, yeah, right?
You love these
acronyms.
You know what? You love these acronyms. Hey. What was your football team? Your fantasy football team was Cash Flow Mike.
Well, first of all, I talked so much smack and got beat down by your league. I thought I was going to come in there and just dominate, so I named my football team Cash, C-A-S-H, and I said championships are secured here.
I love it.
But that wasn't true.
Wasn't true. What's the tell and don't tell me what to do?
Yeah, first of all, nobody likes to be told what to do, and I had so many consultants come into my office, and they all bring in their 1-inch binders, and they just present. And I feel like, I don't know if you're like me, but I glaze over. I'm like, oh man, number after number, slide after slide, and I get bored really fast. So T.E.L.L. with T-E.L.L. Terminate Every Long Lecture, and actually have a conversation with people.
So let's get into it. What triggers a meaningful conversation with somebody? How do you do it?
Man, first of all, I didn't realize I was doing anything different than everybody else. Right? So over the past couple of years, working with accountants, bookkeepers, people that are financial advisors, we would role play, right? Because people want to know how to deploy different techniques with their clients. So we would
lost art in this field. Yeah,
right. So I thought, me being kind of naive, I just got to teach these guys math. Once I teach them the math, they're good to go. We would role play, and I would see trick after trap after tip, just falling together, meaning that they would get lost in the conversation because they would see a problem and initially start to fix it, even though that wasn't the problem that the client had. So it all started with this premise of, I want you to address the pain that they feel, not the pain or problem that you see, right? And I'll kind of tell you how I got there with that. Believe it or not, I think you guys remember my first job, right? My first job was I was a state trooper, right?
Yeah.
So back in the 1900s, they taught us a skill called verbal judo, right? It's kind of an older thing, but it's about empathy, but listening to people. And the whole premise was, let's see if we can talk for 30 minutes rather than fight for 3. Right. So everything was about de-escalation, conflict avoidance, getting people to be committed to an action, not compliant because they were told to do something, right? Because that's where don't tell me what to do comes from. Nobody, especially when you're a state trooper, wants to be told what to do.
Yeah.
So I just kind of learned this technique and deployed it as a natural part of my language over the last 20 years. And then COVID hit. When COVID hit, it kind of changed the way I approach business owners because I still had a trooper mentality. And you're like, what do you mean COVID hit? Well, I mean, A, I wrote a book, but B, I watched a really abnormal amount of TV. I don't know if you guys are like, yeah, right. So I watched way more TV than I ever had before. And Courtney got me to watch this show called Hoarders. Have you ever seen Hoarders?
I love it. Yep.
All right, so
I know.
I what I don't like is the disorder. I think it's
It's
sad. I
crazy.
think it's yeah, it's absolutely just I can't believe the feeling that they have, right? You know, this
Mhm.
compulsion. But what I loved was the combination of the doctor's questioning technique and
Mm.
the hoarder's reaction to it, right? So when I started watching it, the very first episode, what I saw was not Dr. Hoarder. I saw business advisor client.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's such a good
Yep.
way to see
Yep.
that.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy that it just like, you know how things hit you. I'm sure when you wrote 8 of your last 10 books or how many you got now, 100 books, I don't know. Mike's
Somewhere
got
there.
like
Yeah.
a million books, something like that. But I saw them walk up to the front door. And as you walk up to the front door, you can see there's a problem already. You haven't even met the person with the disorder,
Mm.
but you can see things scattered on the lawn. You could see things piled up around the front door. Well, they meet at the front door. And this is one in state trooper business where they would say, you know what? This is the most dangerous part of the interaction, the very first meeting where you're face to face, where you know why I'm there and I know why I'm there. What
Right.
are we going to do next? Well, what you say next sets the whole tone for the whole conversation. What you expect him to, when he walks in and sees the horde, the problem, you expect him to go, "Holy smokes, what am I looking at here? You know, what is this?
Yeah.
What's the matter with you?" But he doesn't. Never judges, never accuses. He'll say a question like, "Hey, tell me what I'm looking at," or "How do you think it got like this?" And what
My
I
mind's
heard,
blowing because as I'm listening to
yeah,
these people. I'm like, holy shit! I never made that connection. So now it's connecting. So good. Keep going. This is great.
yeah. So what I was thinking was, well, this is what happens with advisors. You get somebody's financial statements and you look at them and you see all the problems before you say
Yeah.
one word to the client. You're like going, "Oh, I see it. I know exactly what his problem is," and you can go in there and just start solving them. Well,
Yeah.
if you do that, you're overwhelming and overpowering that client, right? So just
Hmm.
because you see it, that's not the pain that they feel instantly. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
Who did
That's a
who
lot to
did
get
that?
started with.
Who did that thumb up? Who did that thumb up? That
Oh,
was pretty cool.
I don't know how to turn that off.
Oh, that was
Uh,
awesome.
I really like the yeah. So our podcast listeners have no idea what's going down. It's a little
Oh,
emoticon.
oops.
How did how did you get here? Sounds like a great opening question. Conversely, the temperament of the customer that could come across as a judgment. Can do you have a way of gauging how shamed maybe a customer feels about their financial strife, or is there softer questions that come in, and do you know also when you're hitting kind of the upper limit on their comfort in a conversation, though it's meaningful, it's still their upper limit.
Yeah, so this also goes back to being a state trooper. I mean, just
Yeah.
using some mirroring techniques. If you use their words when they're talking to you, it becomes their words. And you got to remember, every time I say it as the advisor, you can argue with me. But if you say it, who do you argue with? Right. So
Yeah.
if
Right.
I can get you to, and I'm using your words, that means I'm displaying empathy. Like, oh yeah, I'm in there with you. If they go, yeah, this is a mess, or this is chaos. If they say things like that, you just repeat it. Hey, oh, chaos. Oh, why do you think that? Right. And it gets them to explain the problem.
Yes.
Now, some people won't see the problem, right? And what this question does, like, hey, tell me what I'm looking at, or how do you think it got like this? What those type of questions do is allow the person to go, oh, he's not judging me. I can rationalize it and maybe prove to him it's not that bad, right? Because
Right.
they'll walk around and go, oh well, this broken lamp or this broken beer bottle, I'm going to turn into a lamp, or I'm going to sell that at an auction, or I've got this for another craft. They'll start to have rationale around why they have so much stuff. Well, that's the same thing with the business owner. You allow them to rationalize and then start to replay some of their words back to them. Like, okay, well, tell me more about this, or can you say that differently? When I use those type of questioning techniques, it allows them, and all of a sudden, it doesn't make sense to them either. It allows them to elaborate, and when they elaborate, sometimes they get lost in their own description. And that's when you say, well, what do you think we should do about it? What do you think we should do
Mm.
next? And that's kind of the transition into, what you see. Because you can say, hey, here's a couple of different things. If they can't come up with a reason, I'll give them like 3 possible solutions. Let's take, for an example, I know it's a cash flow problem. It's a problem with not having enough cash, right? And to me, that's a financial gap. I think we've talked about that before, where the back gap gets too big. I say, well, here's three things we could do. We can change the way we do business, which means how much inventory we got, or how much or how fast we pay a bill, or how fast we pay our or get paid from our customers. That's changing our business. We can do that. We can go to the bank and get a line of credit, or we can go to our own bank account and put more money in the business. What do you think we should do next? Right. And
Mm,
everybody wants
mm,
before going to the bank, they all want to check out how to fix their business first. Right. So, but
mhm.
I didn't come up with it. You did. And that's the don't tell me what to do. If you're saying it and I'm leading you to the next action, you're committed to the action, not being compliant because I told you to do it. Make sense?
That's brilliant. That's
Yeah,
brilliant.
it's like you're giving them the idea, right? They're coming. You're giving them the idea that they just came up with.
Yeah, exactly right. You're leading them. You're, it's the old lead a horse to water, right?
Yeah.
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 Talk about the elevation sequence. This is part of your book. I think there was 8 steps to it. Can you give us an outline what that is?
Yeah, you know what's funny about that is that I called it when I wrote the book the elevation sequence, and somebody told me a better name for it, so I might even change it to the tell strategy. Right?
Oh, I like that
Like
better.
I'm like,
I do
oh,
like
I
that.
like it better too, right? I mean, that's just like me. I mean, that's why I come up with Cashflow Mike, or when I built Cashflow Tool. I'm terrible at naming things. So they're like, hey, why don't you call this the tell
Is your
strategy? I'm like,
dog named Dog?
damn,
Your
yeah,
dog's name's
dog,
Dog.
yeah,
Dog. Cat.
yeah.
Cat.
So, yeah. So, what are the key techniques from the tell
All right.
strategy in this case?
All right. So what the reason I called it the elevation sequence to begin with is that it allows me to work a set of questions which help me to find the issue, because sometimes I can't find it with the first question. So the compass is where I always start. And the compass is kind of our North Star. Like, where are we going? If we're going to be working together, I don't care if it's a month, a year, 15 years, where are we going? Because decisions that we make and advice I give you may be different than I give to somebody else, right?
Right.
Because we have a North Star now, the compass. The next thing I do is called it's called clear the noise. You might even see me every once in a while wear a t-shirt that says clear the noise. And my philosophy on that is everybody that comes to a meeting with me, they already have something in their head. They got something they want to say. They got something they're thinking about. There was something that happened at home. It doesn't matter. They've got something else on their mind. So I do that in front of every meeting, which is, hey, what's going on in your world today? And people just either tell me the problem, or they'll go off in some tangent, but it's something that's on their mind. Like, hey, where's the bathroom at in here? Or something.
Hmm.
There's always something that they're thinking about. So clearing the noise either finds the problem or lets them get something off their chest up front. The next one that I go to is called the Explorer, because during clear the noise, they might say something like going, it just doesn't feel right. I just don't feel like I have enough money. Then I'll use the Explorer, which is using some questions like I told you earlier, which is, hey, tell me more about that. What do you mean when you say, you don't have enough money? Or can you say that differently? And what I'm doing is getting them to say a problem that I can bucketize. And what I mean by bucketize, most business problems can fit into 6 buckets, right? They're either cash flow, profit, they're debt related, they're future related, they're operations related, or they're education, meaning I just don't know, right? So if I can put you in one of those buckets, every one of those buckets, I have a technique in the clear path to cash to address. So the whole purpose of this is to guide an advisor to finding the right problem that they can solve with one of my techniques. Right. So that's the kind
Gotcha.
of the first 3. So, first 3. Do you want to go on?
Yeah, you can, because I
Yeah.
love this framework, and I think our
Yeah, me
listeners, just
too.
like me, are writing down bullet, bullet, bullet. So, what else are there?
Yeah. All right. So before I go any further, I've got this thing that I do with folks before we get to action. Let's say I found a problem, and we're going to take action. I've got this thing I call the nudge pact. And the nudge pact is getting your permission up front to turn from being an advisor to being a coach. And what the nudge pact does is, well, it gets your permission. But I say it up front, say, hey, listen, when we get into this, there's going to be days when I ask you to do something that's going to be hard. There's going to be days when you want to
Mm,
procrastinate and you put things to the side, and we're all like that. What are some things that you do when you procrastinate? And people will tell you, I stop answering your phone calls, or I don't
yeah.
respond to emails. Some people say, well, I might cuss you out, or I might, get really agitated with you. So my question to you is, hey, when we get to the hard part of fixing a business and I see those things, is it okay to call you out? And I do that up front. because it solves a problem later. When we get to that part, I can remind them. Remember back when, back in September, when I asked you if I saw these things, I could call it out. Hey, I'm seeing those things. What do you think we should do about it? And nobody ever argues with you. They go, yeah, I did give you permission. Right? They just kind of go along with it. And it's again
I love
about
that.
avoiding conflict and getting people to be committed, not compliant.
Well,
Right.
it's not avoiding conflict. It's making sure that conflict doesn't arise from miscommunication or lack of clarity.
Mm. That's well put. That's well put. Yeah. So the nudge pact kind of
I
plays two
love the
different parts, right? The nudge pact is up front, get your permission, and then when it happens, I can call you out, and just by reminding you, we already agreed to that.
Yeah.
The next one is my favorite one, right? The next one is when I can't find a problem, or they're being, kind of vague with what they're saying, and I don't really get it, right? I'm like, oh, I can't really understand what their issue is here. I use a technique I call the crowbar. And the crowbar is just what you think it is. It pops into, your business and pops out a problem. And the crowbar to me is 5 different questions. And I have to ask them in this order. And I have to ask all 5 every time. And it's what's working, what's broken, what's missing, what's confused, what's extra. And I set it up like a brainstorming session, right? I just make 5 columns, and whatever they say, I don't judge. Even if it's against me and my advisory, I don't say anything about it. I just write down whatever words they say. And it works really good if you have partners that are in conflict, because all you're doing is writing down what they think is working, broken, missing, confused, or extra. And when you do that, you'll see a theme painted across all 5 columns. They'll use some of the same words. You're like, oh, this
Interesting.
is and try it. And so what I do, if you do it in that order across, you can make a sentence coming back. Well, if we get rid of this and add this and fix that, then this should also work, right? So it's one of those things where I can take exactly what you say, draw a line through a theme, and then create a sentence going backwards. And that's where we start. That sets the priority of work. What should we work on next?
I could see this in a board on a
Yeah.
whiteboard, going up
Yep.
there, writing it down, especially even with a team or some of the larger firms. You're going to like, Mike, we kind of did this when we were down in Orlando with the app development.
Oh yeah, with Jason. Yeah, that's
yeah,
exactly right.
Profit Pro app. Check it out, guys. Yeah, and you're right. The sentences that you can create out of it. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Mike,
Yeah, that's
the
it's really
last
cool.
2 elements, what is confusing? What's extra? I don't really understand either one. Can you explain further?
He's confused.
So I mean, first of all, yeah, he's confused, right? That's you just had a good example. What I said was confusing. Well, and that's just it, meaning that you kind of know, but it's not super clear, right? Meaning
Understood.
and that's what exactly it is. It's not broken. You don't know that it's broken, or it is broken, but you don't know because you're really confused on what I'm trying to do in this situation. Let's say it's reducing inventory, and I've told you to get rid of 6 or 7 different things, but you're really confused on why those 6 or 7 things. It's not that the situation is broken or it's missing. It's that somebody doesn't understand what the task is.
Or is it
That
they
makes
don't
sense.
like the question that you're asking them?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Right?
it could be. Yeah,
Right?
yeah, it
That
could be.
they don't want to give you the answer that you think you're looking for. Therefore, there's confusion. So I love this technique.
What's
Well,
the extra? What does that mean? The
extra
last
means
question.
yeah, sometimes we do things in our business that are just unnecessary, and we might not see it because we're the boss. But
see.
somebody that works for you might go, yeah, you have us do this extra step, but really we're skipping it, right? So then all of a sudden you see things that just shouldn't be there. In my own business, there were some things that I'd added as services that just didn't add value. It was just appendages. You're like, oh, nah, that's
Yeah.
kind of extra.
Over creation. See it all the time.
Over creation. There you go. So it's extra and it doesn't add value. So let's get rid of it. 'Cause it's a
Interesting.
distraction.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We're starting to approach time.
Wow.
But I want to learn just a couple more things. Where does someone get started with this if they haven't used the Don't Tell Me, which I put, terminate every long lecture. I love that. If they're the long lecture type, they're the show up and throw up type, they're showing the data, like look at all these numbers. How does someone start making this conversion over? I assume it's pretty difficult to do it at a snap of the fingers.
Yeah, and because we're on a podcast and we'll show you, but I've built this into my app, right? The Clear Path to Cash app, which is a guided conversation for advisors, right? So when you're there, I'll ask you, hey, who are you talking to? A sales prospect, a new client or somebody you've worked with for a while, because I start in different places. I don't do the compass with everybody that I've worked with for a
I
while,
see.
right? Or I don't do it with a sales prospect because I'm trying to find out what their problem is, why they're talking to me to begin with. So where I would start is just get a copy of the book. I mean, it's on Amazon if you like this, something that you can feel, touch like I do. I have to read it this way. If not, they can just contact me. Can I put my email address out there and just
No,
say,
let's do that
Absolutely.
now.
and
Yeah, give us all
and
the
I
contact info.
yeah, and I will send you a PDF copy of this that you can have right
Oh,
now.
perfect.
Oh,
Right.
I'd
So
love a copy. Get that
yeah.
over to me right away. And guys, full disclosure, Mike is one of the select few partners of Profit First Professionals here in America, where he's curated programs and efforts to
Yes.
help our members specifically. And so we're relying on Mike and his teachings internally here with Profit First Professionals to help our members be more advanced and get to some of these techniques that are a complement to everything we're doing within Profit First.
So, Mike,
What's interesting? Oh, sorry. Oh,
Yeah.
where can people get the stuff? How can they contact you? We want to get those details.
yeah. So, I mean, I think the easiest way to get this one, because I don't have it up there where you can just download it just yet, but just email me at mike@cashflowmike.com. I'll go through it and I'll just email you the PDF out. And there we are. We're connected. You can read the book. You can also connect with me if you want to talk about it more, about how you can implement it. If you want to know more about just my clear path to cash, the 8 techniques to maximizing cash in a business, which, believe it or not, from what I'm hearing from our joint ventures, meaning people that are part of Profit First and Clear Path to Cash, they really go hand in hand. They really just kind of walk hand in hand and really, add value to the client. So, but Mike at cashflowmike.com, and my website is cashflowmike.com.
All right, everyone, contact Mike right now. Get his book. It's on Amazon. Don't tell me what to do. Mike, thanks so much for joining us today.
Awesome, Mike. And yeah,
Hey, I
guys,
appreciate y'all.
listeners, when you reach out to him, just don't ask him for fantasy football advice.
Yeah. I'm gonna let you have that one.
All right, Ron, we got to recap what
Thanks,
we
Mike.
learned. You got an OB Ron. I got a GMAP now task. But why don't we start off with what we learned? What was your big takeaway from today?
I loved how Mike was relating the show Hoarders and their approach of the doctors and approaching their patients more like a customer and a prospect. I like how he did that. And just the overall questioning approach, not judging, but not solving as well. And most of our members are trying to solve when they see the problem and they try to solve the problem, but that may not be what is keeping that person up late at night.
My takeaway was the mirroring. Well, I've heard the technique. I think it's the first time it landed with me that how he framed it. He says people don't argue with their own advice. So mirroring, I thought, was just that there's comfort in sharing common words and common gestures. But the fact that when someone makes a point, if you use those same words, they can't argue it anymore because they're the ones who made the point.
They can't argue it anymore.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Ron, that you mirrored me. What I got. What's your insider access? That was good.
All right, guys. So this is one tip that you can apply that we're doing here. One of the things I could do a lot of sales response coaching, if you will. And Mike's book's full of great questions. But another question that you're going to want to weave in there. This is a very powerful question that you should ask every single one of your prospects is, what is your desired future? That's simple. What is your desired future? That gets them talking. It opens up. What do they want to achieve? What do they want to do that? Ask that simple question during your conversation and just listen and then tie that back in because that's the answers to the test.
That is powerful. It's funny. I was just looking at Mike's book. I want to get a copy myself. So it's on Amazon.
Yeah.
And it sells with Profit First. It says people also buy Profit First. So clearly there's a compliment here.
That
I got
goes with
a GMAP
Pumpkin Plan
task,
and
one task.
Clockwork.
Pardon me?
That also goes with Pumpkin Plan and Clockwork, those books.
Yeah, for sure. I got the GMAP now task. One task, if you do it, you'll see results. And it's called the VR technique. Don't think virtual reality, think value reflection. There's one question. I'll give you one more question. You can ask your clients that positions your value from their words. And what the question is what progress would have been harder without us working together? So what you do is you force reflection of your customer of saying, oh, here's the value you bring. I invite you to ask it regularly because now you have their list of arguments of what value you bring. And that's the stuff you should emphasize.
Can you repeat that again, Mike? That was great.
Yeah. What progress would have been harder without us working together? Or what progress have you made in your business that would have been harder if we didn't work together? All right. We got to get out of here, Ron. Before we do, why don't you tell us where people can learn more about what we got going on?
Well, I'd also like to thank Mike for being a guest.
Sure.
Thank you, audience. Thank you for listening. And don't forget to subscribe to Grow My Accounting Practice podcast, found anywhere you have podcatchers, as well as YouTube. So check out our YouTube channel. But also, go to profitfirstprofessionals.com. Learn more about us. We'd love to have a conversation and see what you're up to. What is your desired future? And maybe we can work together to make that happen.
Yeah, and every September, we have a big gathering. We call it Profit Con. It'd be an honor to have you there. Now, to be there, you got to be a Profit First professional. These are the elite of the elite driving profitability, accountants, bookkeepers, and coaches. Yeah. Maybe it's time for you to explore it. If you're tired from the 2025 drain, the brain drain of just crunching numbers and working like an animal during January, February, March, maybe it's time to consider becoming consultative.
Yeah.
Right? Go to profitfirstprofessionals.com. There's an option there to apply to become a member. Now, you don't instantly become a member. You have to go through an interview. You'll talk with Ron or Liz or another team member. We want you interviewing us. If there's a mutual fit, we're going to drive more profit than ever before in your clients' pockets and more profit than ever before in your own pocket. Go to profitfirstprofessionals.com right now. All right, Ron, let's get out of here.
All right.